It appears to be live. Testing and such. Yes. It appears. All right. So everything looks to be functioning properly. So we will continue with the broadcast event. Yes, that's what it is. Sort of an event. All right. So I was thinking, as I do, I know people don't have much appreciation for that, but it does take some effort to think. So I was thinking about the redshift thing just because sometimes that pops into my head, the whole cosmic redshift. That is the idea that, star way over here someplace is shooting out a bunch of light, billions of light years away. And we receive it over here on Earth. And spelled with a big E. And, this is billions. Oops. Yes, billions. Uh, Bill. Yeah. Of light years. Light years. Yes, we just add all this useless crap. Billy. Anyway, and the little photons are flying towards us. Doot, 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 doot. And somehow their frequency shifts. That is, it goes a little bit longer. And then everybody assumes that, well, if it's longer, that must mean uh, the universe is getting bigger. That's the conclusion. Is these little photons are stretching apart. So they sort of believe that somehow, while the photons are traveling to us, they're getting further apart. Which technically might be true, but it's not for the reason they think. It's not because more space, like they think more space went in here. This little sneaky space came flying in and filled up all these little spaces, all this little extra space. And the extra space didn't make the atoms bigger and doesn't make a lot of other things happen, but somehow the empty space flies in between photons. And to me, that's not a very good answer. So, but they built the whole mythology out of it in terms of we are all to believe this is happening, the universe is expanding, and blah, 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 blah. And it's all part of some, um, the Big Bang is now the big expansion theory. So it isn't really that it started with just kind of a, everything was in one place and everything's got blown up and flew into space kind of theory, which didn't sound too bad. Now it's some sort of, it's a bigger, different kind of bang where the universe is, every bit of the universe is running away from every other bit, and the whole outside of a balloon thing. And it's not like a regular explosion anymore. But anyway, all right. So I don't like that. It just doesn't sound like the real story to me. So it's my first reaction is just as, again, it's sort of a mechanic's view, and somebody's telling the mechanic of the car that, it's, the invisible vapors inside of the whatever are, I mean, he's just going to say, no, there's nothing in there expanding. I mean, what are you talking about? There's no dark energy in my damn engine. There's no dark matter. No. None of that crap's in there. So anyway, so I was thinking about it. So anyway, so the idea is you have this little photony thing. So I'll try to draw that like that and just say, okay, now let's now make arrows. Because then that'd be nice and straight lines. So I was thinking about it. The photon is traveling. The idea is there's a bunch of little tiny stuff in the universe between us. Whoa, that's not the thing I wanted. Some sort of circle thing. I want the line, yes. So in between us and the photon is a kind of bunch of stuff, obstacles. And the trick is the obstacles are moving in all directions. So I got the arrow tools on. There's just always these little subtle problems. I guess I don't need big fat arrows anymore. So All right, so there's stuff, little stuff. You have to change it to arrow for the arrow to work there. It's probably going to undo the arrow tool. No, it didn't. I don't think it did. Ah, there we go. So there's stuff that's going to hit it going this way, and there's stuff that's going to hit it going this way. Now, the trick is, though, the little bit is actually going this way, right? It's heading towards us at the speed of light. So it's one of these drag arguments that I've had to deal with, but this in kind of a different way. This thing, this photon, is kind of obviously going to hit more stuff going this way, and it's going to hit more of that stuff in the sense that it's the fact that this stuff has a momentum. You know, it's not like it's hitting another force. It's hitting little matter bits, little atoms. So let's draw. Well, can't draw it with an arrow tool. Can't draw an atom. Well, maybe I could draw an atom if I made the atom look like this or something. All right, so that's an atom. Oh, I like that. I mean, it could look like something else, like a star or something, but it looks like I could call that an atom. I'd be happy with that. It has a geometry and such. Electrons on the outside, the little nucleus on the inside. So these atoms would be mostly hydrogen and other gases, helium, oxygen, nitrogen, clear things. So they're actually all transparent. Well, I'm not going to write transparent, but it could be, they're transparent. So little transparent things are hitting it, and they're hitting it predominantly, more in one direction than the other direction. So they're certainly, not that they're going to slow the light down, but you can get the idea that their momentum is going to be the opposite of the photon's direction of travel, which is how you create redshift. So redshift is essentially created by something moving, the opposite way from where it's, say, shooting the light. So as it shoots light, I'll have to use some other tool. As it shoots light this way, going that way, it's running away this way. Yeah, I could have used arrows, just done them again. So, and the idea is because it's receding, it creates more distance, because the first rock it throws, like if I'm running away from you and I throw rocks, I'll throw them at a certain frequency physically, but you'll receive them at a different frequency because I'm moving away from you, right? And the distance will be longer. So you're increasing the distance. So the idea would be is these little bits of photon, right, are flying through space billions of years, and they're going through an obstacle course of little atoms, and the atoms are transparent, so they will, the photon will go through them and come back out, and if all circumstances are okay, there won't be anything called scatter or anything. They transmit them accurately, like most glass does or something. It's mostly accurate. This certainly isn't. But you have glass in front of you. You probably have some sort of film in front of your monitor that's obviously not distorting what you see. So the photons will be relatively accurately transmitted through the medium of the little atom. So it's not going to destroy their voyage. They're not going to be deflected in particular ways. They're not going to go flying all over the place. They're going to basically, the little photon will continue its voyage, go through the atom. I guess I could change the color. Just add a little bit of something to this. So here's the photon. The photon's traveling. It hits the atom. Thought I changed the color. I thought you did too, Gary. I was pretty sure you did too, Gary. I was pretty sure. Anyway, so the photon is traveling. It hits the atom, and it comes out of the atom going the same way, but the frequency of the little bits has been altered. So if you understand the light is really just little bits, little cannonballs with a distance. You can sort of understand that if the object is moving towards the sequence of photons, that it could capture them. And as it captures them, it changes how they get thrown. And so now they're going to get thrown with a bigger frequency because the bit is going to move in between the throws. And so it's receding. Okay, it's increasing the distance between the two photons because the time between when it throws the first one and the time and location where it throws the second one will be a larger amount, and that will be realized in redshifting, expanding the photon's frequency. And so each individual photon coming in through all these different colors that carry all the information of what's chemicals are on the sun and all that kind of stuff. So all the whatever they call that, the spectral lines. That's made up of a lot of different photons to make spectral lines. So you have to have, obviously, it's a spectrum, so there's lots and lots of photons. So all the photons are going to get, on average, they're going to run into the same number of these little bits. And obviously the ones that are traveling in a sequence or an array that gets to us, they're pretty close to each other, so they might even go through some of the same atoms. Who knows? But the point is it would all be randomized, and there's no reason to think one photon is going to be horribly mistreated by the circumstance and get hit by a lot less atoms than the other ones and all that stuff, especially over billions of years of travel. So anyway, the point would be is that this kind of simple mechanical explanation does, I think, work. And, it has some huge advantages. It sort of just destroys all the need to have all this expansion and all this other crap that goes on. It doesn't play any role. You don't need all that nonsense to explain why things, the further away they are, the more redshifted they are. They're more redshifted because they had to plow through more atoms, and the likelihood is they hit more atoms moving into them than they hit going away from them. Clearly, that's just obvious. I mean, that should be obvious to you, that the ones that are going in the same direction, in a sense, have to catch up to the photon. And that's hard to do when the photon's moving the speed of light, where the ones coming right at it don't have to catch up. So, like I said, it just sort of completely explains why it's more redshift than blue shift, why it works out that way, and it fits the evidence and it fits the logic of what redshift is, which is really, you can understand it to be a expansion, a stretching of the photon. Now, they think it's the actual photon is being stretched by extra space. Like I said, I would argue it's just the distance between the cannonballs is being stretched. But you don't have to believe photons are individual little particles and that the wavelength of a photon is the distance between the particles, not how long the particle is. You don't have to believe that to recognize that, yes, this could be a mechanism for stretching. It makes sense. And clearly, the components for this do exist. It should be something physics would have to explain anyway, because we could argue that they already know that a mole of, I don't know, I'm probably saying it wrong, that a cubic yard of empty space has a certain number of moles, that's what they measured in the moles, of atomic weight in it, atoms. So even the vacuum of space has got moles worth of mass. It's like even Mercury. Been doing lots of Mercury videos. Play one of those in the second half here. It doesn't have an atmosphere, but it does. You can, and if you figure out all of its weight. It comes out to whatever, 10,000 tons or something. So it's a real atmosphere. It's not much, but it's real. And the crap in space is real. The little stray atoms are real. And light has to navigate through them the further away it is. And like I said, billions of light years is an incredibly long distance. So the likelihood of you hitting something in that long a travel is pretty high, even in a vacuum. Because the vacuum of space isn't a clean, perfect vacuum. It's full of moles worth of atoms. So I think it's a pretty good explanation. I like it. I don't think I need to go into further detail. I think that was enough of an explanation of what I'm arguing. And so if somebody says, why that can't be true, I'd be interested, and why this answer sucks compared to space is expanding in some sort of magical way, and that whatever it was, however billion, a billion, 10, 15 billion light years ago, 15 billion years ago, there was some sort of super mega expansion out of nowhere. The whole universe decided to, get a million times bigger just all at once. How that nutty theory somehow is better than this as an explanation for the one piece of evidence they have. And it's only like one piece of evidence. I mean, they really only have one piece of evidence, redshift, to base all of that mush on. There's all the other evidence, like the cosmic background radiation. That isn't really evidence of this expanding universe thing, because in a sense, it's almost counter evidence, because that would be saying like the cosmic background radiation was caused when the universe went bang. So the universe was a little thing and it became a big thing. And you would argue that the cosmic background radiation wouldn't stay here. So in 10 billion years, the cosmic background radiation would go out into the universe at the speed of light, because it's light. Even that doesn't make any sense. It's very difficult to make any sense out of the cosmic background radiation being residue from the Big Bang. It just doesn't make any sense at all, really, when you think about it. How does the stuff going the fastest out of the explosion end up hitting us billions of years later? We're moving slow. It's moving fast. We start in the same place. Shouldn't it be like we should be like, because we're matter, we're heavy stuff. We should be like here. No. And the cosmic background radiation should be like way out here. Like, I'm so far ahead of you. It should be way past this by now. Way past this. So that whole fucking thing doesn't make any sense either. Oh, I just think they're so full of crap. So little evidence. And they're so confident that all their babble is the truth. Ugh. It's disgusting. Anyway, no chatters. Perfectly brilliant and nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, I hate this place. Anyway, all right, so moving on to Van Briesen, math guy mostly, which I don't really, doesn't thrill me to pieces. Oh, Speed Racer. It is an annoying thing about YouTube. I'm just watching these old Speed Racers just because I watched it when I was a 10-year-old, And I remember it wasn't horrible, but I'm rewatching it, and it's horrible. I mean, the stories are insanely stupid. But I'm saying, yes, a 10-year-old could watch it, though. So I don't feel too bad that I watched it. Because it's 10-year-old material. But even a 10-year-old's going to, I know I must have said, this episode sucks. Anyway. But the irritating thing is now YouTube is putting it on all my recommended videos are all Speed Racer. Please. I hate this bullshit of them tailoring the internet to me. I want to see the internet as It's presented to the world. I do not want to see a filtered fucking internet. And I'm amazed that nobody else is really pissed off that they're doing this, that they're playing this game of serving every person a different version of the world. That's disgustingly wrong. Anyway. All right, that asshole, I certainly don't. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's see, where's my subscriptions? Somewhere around where my subscriptions are. How did I fuck this up? All right, there's my comments. There are no comments. This should be subscriptions here. There's a subscription. So Vambrition should be like here. There he is. All right, so we'll play some of this just because it really pissed me off. Okay, so the point is over here there's a word he uses called eccentricity factor, and he puts it into this equation. And essentially, that's Einstein's, the eccentricity factor. That's what Einstein's theory or mathematics produces. And he doesn't show how that is derived anywhere in this mush. He just does Newtonian math, essentially, just does the basic stuff and just throws in the magical, here's the Einstein factor. So he's like sort of selling the idea that he's going to explain how time dilation creates this little boost in Mercury's orbit. So essentially, Mercury is going a little bit too fast. And so with every orbit, it pushes out a little further, you know. And so then it has the orbit slides over, and then it pushes out a little too far and it slides over, and it pushes out a little too far and it slides over. So it's doing this daisy thing, spirograph thing. And it's sort of my understanding that Einstein's tensor math with all that kind of crap is what it's really doing is just recognizing that the center of the sun's gravity, okay, because the sun is being moved by all of these other planets, the sun is actually processing on its center of gravity. And that's what's causing the irregular precession of Mercury. And has nothing to do with time dilation. Time dilation has nothing to do with why. I mean, you're not even given an understanding of how could time dilation make Mercury go faster, you know, or give it some weird little boost in its orbit. How does it change how big a circle is? Time dilation can't change how big the circle is. You know, it's just bullshit. Well, anyway, so I'll play some of this, but it's just not very. It's not really this isn't kind of, this is what they always do, is they don't really do a straight up argument, you know, or description of history. It's always bent, you know, to suit the propaganda, you know, and it's irritating. It's, yeah, I think it's dishonest. Just reload the video.
Welcome to ilectureonline. In the previous video, we saw how the precession of Mercury was very carefully observed and calculated to be about 5,600 arc seconds per century.
All right, now we really weren't, okay, in the previous video showing any of this precision stuff, but clearly it's a tiny, you know, it's a few feet a year kind of bullshit. I mean, it's not very much. And, you know, it's this tiny amount of change over 100 years. I mean, he said per century, 43 arc seconds per century. So it's a tiny amount of precession.
But when they tried to verify that, and when they tried to analyze why the precession was such, using the laws of Newton, the number they came up with was 5,557 arc seconds.
Right. So when they measured the orbit and precession over time by observation, it didn't match the calculated version by these 43 arc seconds. And understand the calculated version is done without really considering the sun's motion. So the sun is thought of as something stable in its position versus everything else moving. And just like not realizing at first, see, the speed of not putting the speed of light into the Newtonian equations also made them off by something like 50 arc seconds and all that kind of shit. It was the same amount of error was created by not recognizing that gravity moves at a finite speed, not instantaneously. So as much as it would almost seem like it shouldn't make a difference when you're talking about planets and distances that long and gravity, it makes a difference. It's not much of a difference, but it makes a difference that the force does move a little bit slower than instantaneous. Anyway, let's proceed.
Per century. It appeared that Mercury was precessing faster than it was supposed to be under the known laws of Newton. The difference, 43 arc seconds per century. Wow, that is such a small angle over such a large amount of time. It is actually amazing that they were able to come up with that difference, but nevertheless.
Right. So let's just say, okay, it's amazing they came up with it, but it's amazing that we would. More amazing is that you think you can going to get a clear answer to such a tiny difference.
They were pretty convinced there was a difference, significant difference that could not be explained.
Well, significant by whose standards of significant, of course. But yes, it's a real difference. Let's just say it's a real difference, which means there's something missing from Newton's calculations, just like the speed of light was missing. And you really have to have it in there to get more accuracy. So Newton was really accurate. Like, if all you want to do is shoot yourself to the moon and land somewhere in a crater, you don't need to be that precise. It's just, you don't need to. So, it's just how precise you need to be. And in most cases, because these things are so monstrously big and all that big distances, big to everything, you don't need to be that precise, because 10 feet this way or that way ain't going to make any difference.
Now, the reason why now there's a difference there is because the general theory of relativity and the special theory of relativity, in
which, generally speaking, one of them gives a little bit and the other one takes most of that back and even more. So let's not pretend that special relativity is terribly relevant, when general relativity, I think, is the one that controls the story. Entirely.
Indicates that time will run slower, first of all, because Mercury is closer to the strong gravitational force of the sun, which tends to slow down time. And also Mercury orbits around the sun much faster than any other planet.
So 1 minute's going slow matters, and then the next minute, it's something other argument. So again, but now the gravity argument I've sort of explained is that the more gravity you're in, the more you're actually bouncing up and down. The bigger the bounces of a basketball, let's say. So the heavier the gravity, the bigger the swings in your acceleration condition. You're accelerating into the earth, and then the earth is pushing you back. And if you're in space, you're accelerating and you're not getting pushed back. So on the surface of the earth, all the stuff in space is doing this direction. They're going down, down, down like a staircase. They're staircasing down. But if you're on the surface of the earth, the ground is pushing you back. So you're doing this. You're doing up and down. So you can sort of understand if you're a basketball and you don't go down the staircase and you have to go back up and up and up and like this. That's a lot more distance than just going down, 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 down. And it's how much distance you travel decides what your velocity really is. So because we're in the heavier gravity, we're bouncing a lot, which means we're really traveling like the basketball dribbled by the basketball player. The basketball player is going kind of slow, but if you calculate the actual speed of the basketball, it's many times higher than the speed of the player moving. And that's, in my opinion, a mechanical analogy for what the cause of the fact that we're actually the ones going faster than the satellites up in space. Our clock is the one that's slow, and the clock in space is the one that's fast. That's the actual facts.
Which again would have an effect due to the special theory of relativity, again making time move slower in both cases, and that time discrepancy is a large factor in describing why.
Yeah, so it really doesn't make time slower in both cases, but I don't want to argue it. The one argument's enough for the sake of this argument, in terms of just dealing with what the actual facts are, that GPS satellites are actually, the time is moving faster on the satellites, not slower. It's our time that is going too slow, and it has to be sped up, or it's their time that has to be slowed down because it's going too fast. That's the truth. And that's the only thing that really matters here, is that's what we understand. So my argument is, how does time dilation, the fact that we can't tell time very well, change the orbit of Mercury? I don't see any reason why time dilation would have anything to do with the physical fact that it has to go around someplace at a certain velocity. So it's not going to change that. Now, again, the idea that when it's in this space, all the other planets have to do the same thing, which is they have to do this down staircase thing. They have to keep going down to a new orbit, down to a new orbit, down to a new orbit, down to a new orbit. Not now. Down to a new orbit, down to a new orbit. They have to keep being adjusted. And, Mercury's orbit is like, I think 88 days. I should remember this stuff. I think it is. I know it circles. I know it spins, I think. Might be once every 88 days. Well, anyway. So let's say it traverses the sun. I mean, it goes around the sun twice or three times in the same time the Earth does. Well, the Earth's in a much bigger orbit. So obviously the Earth is traveling pretty fast relative to Mercury. Mercury's not moving insanely faster than the Earth is, because the Earth is traveling a lot more distance in that much bigger orbit. It's obviously traveling a lot more distance. So Mercury should, because it's traveling in a 1/3 smaller circle, and the circles actually get 4 times bigger as you go out. So even though we're only 3 times further from the sun than Mercury, right? So Mercury's this much away from the sun. Well, we're 3 times more of that. So it's not that big a difference. It's only 3 times more. But the circle you create is many, many times bigger than that little circle. So Mercury should get around the sun much faster, but it only gets around 3 times faster, right? But the circumference of that circle would be much bigger than 3 times for the Earth. So technically the Earth has got to be going as fast as Mercury, pretty close. So how could you say Mercury's doing this time dilation thing because of its speed when the Earth is going almost as fast as Mercury? Does that make any sense? I don't think it makes any sense. I think there's something fundamentally wrong with that logic. So they say Mercury's processing. The Earth should be processing just as much. This 43 degrees, the Earth should be doing at least 22 degrees then. The Earth has got plenty of velocity to be going to be in that 23. But then the argument is that obviously Mercury's in the heavy gravity. So we're back to the gravity argument. But it's not on the surface. You see what I mean? That really matters whether you're on the surface of something that's pushing you back. Because if there's nothing pushing you back, all you're really doing is going the extra distance to go into the gravity. And that's not that much extra distance for Mercury. I mean, if you drew the Alise lines, I don't know how they would add up. Obviously, the Earth Alise lines are much smaller because it's much weaker gravity. So it's pushed in, it goes this way less when it goes this way. So the percentage of time it spends going this way, if you made square lines to do the circle, there would be a percentage going in and a percentage going up. And so for Mercury, the percentage going in is much more than the percentage going up. And for the Earth, it's less going in and more going up. Right. But I think if you total up all those at least lines, the Earth would still be at least a 10 or a 15. So why doesn't anybody talk about how time dilation is screwing up the Earth's orbit? Well, anyway, I just think there's room to suspect inconsistency in the application of this logic.
There's a difference of 43 arc seconds per century. But how did they actually measure that 43 arc seconds? Well, it turns out all the way back in 1859, Urbain Le Verrier analyzed Mercury's transitions across the sun's disk for all the transitions starting in 1697 all the way through 1848. So that's about close to 20 transitions that he looked at very carefully, and based upon how the transition slowly.
So understand, he's just basically telling how they found this 43-degree difference, right? So I'm going to speed this up a little bit just because I'll just point out how he's not really explaining how time dilation causes the change. He's just explaining how we noticed the change. And those are two entirely different things.
Changed over time. He was able to estimate that there was a discrepancy between the observed precession of Mercury and the calculated precession of Mercury of about 38 arc seconds per century. And a few decades later, in 1882, Simon Newcomb re-estimated that shift, went through all the work again, a little bit more accurately, and he was able to come up with the difference of 43 arc seconds, which is now the known quantity of difference between what we actually observe and what we should be observing, if, of course, there wasn't such a thing as a special and general theory of relativity.
All right, obviously, so again, he's hyping that this is general relativity is going to answer this question, but there'll be no explanation of how it answers the question. So all right, I believe I'm back. I believe you didn't hear any of that, hopefully. That's what I believe, anyway. I don't know how much I believe it. Well, I'll trust the microphone. Little blinky light means that it muted.
So the equation that they derived then to explain that difference, when Einstein came up with the theory, and they finally derived the equation, this is what the equation ended up looking at. The difference in the shift, and the units are going to be in radians per revolution. So for every revolution. Right.
So this is not the equation that Einstein used to figure out how much eccentricity, right? So this is really, like I said, the eccentricity is right here, squared. So he put a factor in. So this has nothing to do with Einstein's equation. You would use exactly the same math if you were doing this like with just Newton math. This is just to figure out how you take that amount of change and calculate it over all the orbits for a century. So this math will just figure out how much it should change over a century and come up with this 42 arc seconds number. But it doesn't tell you how the eccentricity is caused. It just tells you here's the number. So anybody could reverse engineer this and establish what the eccentricity number is. If they know it has to come out to 42 arc seconds, they just reverse engineer and they can come up with the number that's going to be put in here for E. It's, so this is very unhelpful in explaining how time dilation creates that eccentricity.
For every orbit of Mercury around the sun, there's going to be a slight shift in terms of radians, and this is the equation that allowed them to calculate that number. So when they went through that, here we have what we call the semi-major axis. We use the letter A. Here's the period, the time it takes for Mercury to go around the sun once.
Right. So these are all things that Newton could know, right? The radius, the whatever axis thing, that's just a line through these two objects. The orbital radius. I mean, like I said, these are all things we already know. There isn't any Einstein stuff in there. This is all stuff Newton knew, except for the time stuff. I'm like, obviously there's stuff in this equation that Newton didn't know, but I'm just saying this doesn't have anything to do with Einstein.
speed of light, and the eccentricity of the orbit.
There, the eccentricity of the orbit. That's the Einstein number, and yet we're not told where that comes from. We're just told, here's the number. That's not explaining how time dilation caused this effect.
When we plug in all the numbers, first of all, the average distance to Mercury from the sun, about 57.9 million kilometers. Then the orbital period, almost 88 days, times the number of seconds in a day.
Right, so we know all this stuff, right? There's no magic numbers here, right? He never says, here's the bent space factor. Here's the time dilation factor. Yeah, the only thing that's going to matter is this eccentricity number, 0.7, whatever it is, 0.6 or something. And that was derived through some entirely different mathematics that we're not in on. He doesn't explain any of that. And that's the Einstein number. So I just found this, I'm just pointing out how this is how they bend things, and it's just like, this is sort of, he's arguing somehow I'm going to explain to you why Einstein knew Mercury or understood Mercury, when all Einstein had to really know is what number do I have to come up with? And I'll engineer an equation that comes up with that number, right? So if you need me to come up with 0.786, and that's going to create 43 arc seconds, I can give you a pile of rubbish that'll do that. And that's probably why Einstein's field equations can't be done by most mortal mathematicians. Most mortal mathematicians, oh, fuck it, I can't, no way. Well, maybe this is wise, because it's just engineered to be impossible just so they can hide the fact that they're just making this shit up. They just contrived a formula that creates the right number. I'm not saying that's what happened. What I am arguing, though, is that Einstein's math is what it's really doing, is just conceding the big, giant, heavy sun actually does move because of the other planets. They actually do pull it out of being in a stable position and force it to process. And it's the procession of the sun, because Mercury is the closest. It's processing Mercury more than it processes anything else, because Mercury's closer. And that's all this crap is. There's no magical time dilation cause. The cause is the sun's moving, and Mercury moves because the sun's moving. All right, so I don't need to go through. I'll just play a little bit just to make sure you understand that there's nothing in here that's not Newtonian math in function. It's just stuff we know, time, distances, blah, blah, blah. There's no Einstein math here at all.
Is of relativity that Einstein came up with were actually proved to be correct. There is a measurable difference, and without taking that into account, we get the wrong observed result.
Right. And again, so I'm just saying none of this math had anything to do with this eccentricity number and where it was derived from. So I'm just saying it's just not there. This is just simple math after you already are given the answer. So there's just nothing in here to explain how Einstein got that eccentricity number.
The laws of Newton could not explain the precession motion of the orbit of Mercury. We have to take into account also the relativity effects due to the general relativity, which causes time to slow down in a strong gravitational field of the sun, and the special relativity, which causes time to run slower for objects.
Right, and you didn't show any of that, and you're implying that somehow you did, and you didn't. You didn't explain at all how those two factors somehow make Mercury wobble more than the Earth or Venus or any other planet. Nothing. All right, anyway. So enough of that. All right. So we'll see if there's any more reasonable comments. The first comment wasn't too swell. All right. So somebody, oh, look, Ash guy, what, you really just, you want me to block it? You're going to talk about my fucking shirt? Oh, no, you're going to talk about what kind of pants I wear when I go running. Because I can, asshole. I look probably better than you. So, yeah, I look good. So why not wear shorts that are short? It's more comfortable. What do you want? What do you want from an explanation from me? What do you want? Fuck you. It's my business, not your business. All right, so we'll just block you. All right, useless rubbish. I mean, it has nothing to do with this channel. Absolutely nothing. You don't even have a hint of it on this channel, really. You don't see me in shorts on this channel anywhere, do you? No. Whatever. There must be extra planet between the Earth and the sun. There must be an extra planet between the Earth and the Sun. There's more than one extra planet. There's Venus and Mercury. There's 2 planets between us and the Sun. That's not very helpful. I won't block you for that, but it's pretty dumb. Let's see, what's up with the stupid comments? Well, that's all there are here on the internet is trolls, for fuck's sake. I mean, the last video has 52 thumbs down, I think. 52. Like 7 thumbs up and 52 thumbs down. Obviously, I piss off all the little wienered fellows. All the little the people with inverted penises are all pissed off. Yeah. What can you say? I mean, if they had the balls to, put up, we could demonstrate that that's all these people are, is people who are so resentful of other people's superior endowments. That's all it's about. All right. Let's see. You are looking like a cruise tourist today. Well, that's all right, but it's a golf shirt. And I think it's sort of attractive. I mean, it's geometric, kind of physicsy. But you people just plain suck. But this is the best you can do. All right. I don't know what this is. Do you do kumquats? All right. Well, I think I'll just block you too then. I don't know, right? There's no other. What else is there? Some other reason to put up with that kind of nothing? Yeah, no reason. You should try Flart flavored vape. Yeah, that's brilliant also. Okay, so obviously the little troll parade has showed up. They have a little club. This is what they do. Blah, 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 blah. So you block the accounts, blah, 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 and they'll have to make, use their next pile of mush accounts that Google lets them have an infinite number of. Just no point. Get the fuck out. Well, I don't know if talking their kind of jargon is much point in doing that. Certainly don't use emoticons, then you'd just be feeding the trolls. But obviously, they're just trolls. Yes, you have to just ignore them. I mean, an extra planet besides Venus and Mercury, and it is moving perpendicular to the plane of the other planets. And we don't see it for what? Some sort of grand conspiracy reason? I mean, really, John, do you think this makes any sense? Do you really think so? Really? And frankly, the tiny difference, the tiny irregularity in Mercury's precession is so tiny. Yes, it would have to be a pretty small planet, but still, you really think we can't notice it? That somehow it doesn't fly in front of something every now and then? I mean, Mercury has such a precise transit across the sun, you just can't miss it. It's always regular numbers of years. It's such a precise, it's on this line every 43 years, and it's on this line every 43 years, and this line. I mean, just an amazingly regular pattern. Well, I thought it was called Vulcan at one time, but that's because that Vulcan's the one on the opposite side of the sun that we can't see because it's on the opposite side of the sun. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I just have no use for these. People just always have to come up with an extraordinary explanation. They have to have gremlins and gods and boogeymen and Sasquatches and, I don't know, flying penguins. Well, penguins do fly, but in water. I meant to say platypuses, flying platypuses. And, they just can't do reality. They have to do their little shiny pony thing. I need to have glitter on my ponies, and I have to have smiley faces and hearts and such. They're just goddamn fucking babies. looking for little shiny toys to play with, little girl babies. Knowing physics help you get laid. I guess it's how well you know the physics. I mean, it certainly helps in terms of if you know some physics, you can, you know, you can create some friction a little bit better. Maybe hit the right little spots and such in your encounters with the layables, and then you get a reputation as having a magic wand, magic physics wand. So that'll get you laid. But you're being an asshole, Alex. Thank you. Anyway, Inmendi twerk for his 1% masters in his booty shorts. I don't know. Poetry I really don't do, so you can just fuck off with that girly crap. Little inverted dick is showing again. Jeez. Yes, I really believe that. I don't care. And yes, it is small, and its orbit is long, and people claim, well, it can't be, it can't be affecting Mercury then, because it has to affect Mercury every 3 months. Asshole. It's not obviously not doing that, but obviously you just don't want to talk about anything rational, so just fuck off. I'm really not doing irrational physics. I mean, it's stuff you can figure out. You can debunk crappy theories like that in 5 minutes of research on the internet. 5 minutes of research, you can find a debunk of the idiotic extra planet in between the Earth and Mercury that only shows up every 15 years, and somehow it's doing something interesting. No, afraid not. Can't be doing anything interesting. Assholes. People. I'm confused. Great. I wish somebody unconfused would show up once in a while. Does the Earth orbit the Sun, or does the Sun orbit the Earth? Well, clearly, by any rational descriptions of the words like orbit, we have confirmation because of all the other planets, okay, that the Earth is orbiting the Sun. Now, if the other planets didn't exist, then you could be confused. But because of the other 8 planets, well, 7 real ones, and all of the other junk out there, that validates, it makes it clear who's orbiting who. But the sun does have motion and direction. So the sun can be going this way and the Earth is going this way around it. And so there's kind of a spiral in space, but there's no doubt that the Earth is orbiting the sun just as the moon is orbiting the Earth. And you can validate all that because of the fact that you have 3 bodies. If you have 3 bodies, you can make a deduction. You only have 2 bodies, the deduction process is a lot harder. What happens after you die? I guess you get blocked. You're blocked from reality. I won't block you, but I'm going to... What does report do? I'm going to report you. All right, I won't report you because none of these choices are very good. I think maybe I'll report some of these shitheads. This big report is easier to hit. But I probably have to go to some fucking thing and I have to give my name and address and freaking driver's license number and all this other shit to be able to report anybody. But I will just delete your idiotic comment. Remove. Fucking assholes. All right. In general relativity states that all perspectives are relative. And it doesn't matter. Perspective is a stupid word. There's one physical fact. You either move distance or you don't move a distance. You either go a certain speed or you don't go a certain speed. But you just don't do this relativity shit. Does that mean orbits are subjective? I don't think so. So whatever, play with your own bullshit, okay? I've made a clear argument here. You either get it or you don't get it. Okay? I mean, but you're not on the subject, really. Even though you think you're on the subject, you're not on the subject. All right, imagine the speed the sun would have to go to spin around the Earth. That doesn't even make any sense. It would be the same speed the Earth would have to go to spin around the sun. I mean, I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't know. The bigger imagining is imagine the amount of rocket engines you would need to propel the sun, you know, around the Earth. But obviously the sun is moving. I'm just saying it's, well, not obviously. It can be deduced by circumstance that the sun is moving in the galaxy, and it does have a position that's changing over time. Yeah, but I don't know. You know, galaxies do seem to be going incredibly slowly. Oh, what kind of crap is this? No, because one day is 24 hours versus 365 days. Obviously, that's just a word game you're just playing. So I'm really not interested. I mean, rotation isn't, doing this, spinning isn't the same as moving around something. So the one day thing has nothing to do with the sun. That has to do with stuff. If I put the Earth on fire, then all of a sudden the day thing for the sun would be different. Dear. Your theory is that fish can't swim. Okay, well, we don't need this guy. I mean, I'm not going to read your comments. So if you're not even clever enough to make sure the first sentence or two is a little bit reasonable, you got no chance at all, asshole. All right, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, it will make more. So you're really in trouble too. Non-physical phenomena, like what? Angels. It will make more progress in one decade than all the previous centuries of its existence. Yeah, Tesla. And you're quoting Tesla in my room? Can I hear your opinion on this Tesla quote? I think Tesla is an asshole, a colossal, stupid fuck who made a minor contribution. Okay, minor, little, tiny even. I mean, in the very infancy of electromagnetic generators and motors. I mean, when they were first invented, he made a tiny improvement, which is not a huge task or feat when you consider how far we've come. So it's like making a change to the Wright brother plane. It's like coming up with biplane or something. Well, I think the Wright brothers was a biplane. No, was it? Well, what doesn't matter. It's a tiny contribution. It doesn't deserve any kind of, let's build a giant statue to Tesla. Okay. His contribution was minor. And his understanding of reality was insane. He was not only a religious kook, but he believed there was some sort of, force that you could just stick a stick up and, hey, there's the force. I caught some in the net. See it? He's an idiot. I mean, he really didn't understand the nature of energy. And I mean, even to his dying day, in a sense, I mean, he knew what nuclear bombs were, I mean, he lived long enough to see that, right? Pretty sure. The nuclear age. And that should have given him some sort of, oh, I got this shit really wrong about this whole ether crap. Obviously, there's a ton of energy inside these atoms. So anyway, but Tesla is just another word for Jehovah. He's this little fake messiah. So everybody who wants to have a physics religion, they have to go find a messiah. And, you know, Tesla is the physics messiah, come to save the day with magical fairy stories about magical energy. Look, I can make giant lightning bolts. Yes, it cost me $75,000, right? I mean, he would waste $75,000 a day and fucking wasted electricity trying to send fucking lightning bolts to France. And even though they only went, 40 feet and crashed into the earth every single time, he kept doing it. He didn't notice the obvious that, oh yeah, they always seem to get grounded. They always seem to go right into the ground. Damn lightning bolts. I'm sorry, I don't want to be just mocking Tesla, but I'm just saying he was a douche. If Earth was the center of the universe, fuck. I don't want to do this nonsense, all right? People want to just go be babies somewhere else. Oh, fuck. The sun would have to spin around the Earth to justify the day cycles. We're not talking about, you want to sit there and say, okay, everything's going to stay the same. We're going to turn the Earth and the sun into a binary system that's orbiting each other and everything stays the same. No, everything doesn't stay the same. Everything kind of changes. That wasn't the rules of the thought experiment, you dumb shit. Oh, fuck you. Implied in this primitive theory is a lack of understanding of axial spin, pre-holy scent. Just fuck off. So you don't think my comments are in trouble? What does that mean? I think you're just being an asshole. Yeah, I'm just saying goodbye. I don't see how this has anything to do with the subject at all. Any of the subjects of this video, of this channel. This sounds like just absolute waste of time rubbish. So fuck off. God damn. I just don't get humans. Belligerently irrelevant, belligerently truth averse, belligerently evidence averse. Just farts again. Okay, see ya. FYI, a couple of guys from the board of Witchin, whatever that is, Witchan, Wizchan, oh, they go Pischan, have been rating your videos and spreading rumors about you eat farts. Wasn't that just too fucking interesting, Bob? Just remove it this time. I mean, clearly they're doing some sort of spam campaign thing. You could see it in the view numbers. We saw that the other day. We went to check the view numbers, and all of a sudden there was 25 people in the room. See, there's 16. It's always 15, 16. All of a sudden there was 25. And it's got to be a reason for that, right? Yes. A little group of trolls. Free speech haters, obviously. Muslims. Bunch of Muslims. Let's interfere with people's conversations. Yeah, let's disrupt conversation on planet Earth for absolutely no productive reason, because we're cowards and we can't make an argument, and we're weak. So we just have disruption as our only weapon. Weak dick, weak mind. So I guess we'll do the 2-minute warning thing. See if anybody has anything on the subject relevant to redshift, which I thought was a very good explanation. Go back to the redshift explanation. Seems plausible. Gets rid of all the whole expanding universe. All disappears. No more need for dark energy and dark matter and bullshit. Yeah. Just keep it simple, stupid. So it's kind of disappointing that, like, I do feel the need to do some of these rooms at different times, and it seems like it's the only people who really seem conscientious about watching my videos are the trolls, the haters. They're just so obsessed. But the obnoxious are like that. Oh, geez. You know what? I still don't understand how they think. Who do you think that's having an effect on? I'm shipping a fart to you. I placed it inside a cup. I mean, let's just say there's people watching. What are they going to say? Gee, that's really that was a brilliant schneidly remark. I mean, I was just, wow, that's really impressive. You think that's happening? You think it's happening to me in any way? No. I'm just recognizing how, yes, we should pass laws. We should go beat the shit out of your skanky cunt mother. She should be kicked to the curb because there's no excuse for raising scum as scummy as you. Okay, no excuse at all. I mean, you're a rape of civilization. Your mother's raping civilization by producing fucking crap like you, and she should be punished as a rapist because that's what she's done. She was too damn ignorant to even raise something that had the fucking goddamn capacities of a dumb badger. You're a fucking retarded animal. You fucking piece of goofy shit. And besides being stupid looking, besides having an inverted penis. Why did she have a kid with a man with an inverted penis? I mean, obviously your father had an inverted fucking penis. Oh, god damn. So she had an ugly, inverted penis, ignorant, stupid, retarded kid. And she didn't do the responsible thing and have the proper abortion. Yeah, she's a civilization rapist. She should be put on trial as a rapist of civilization, and then she should be appropriately punished to discourage the future skanky cunts from dropping shit like this into the world. You fucking piece of scum. That's really brilliant too. Open your mouth if you're not gay. As you said, with your gaping asshole facing the screen of your computer. Oh, you're just so desperate for it, aren't you? You want my big fat dick in your ass so bad, don't you? Don't you? Just admit it. You already did the vape fart joke, so you can't even be original. I mean, damn, amazing. Oh. timeout thing is just so fucking annoying. I gotta send YouTube a memo. You know, hide user needs to be up higher on the list. Yeah, I think I'll just report you. Okay. Sexually explicit material. Yes, that's what it is. No, it's hate speech. That's what it is. Oh, it's harassment. We just call it harassment. Choose one. I already choose something, you cunt. This is harassing me. yeah. This is harassing someone else. Yes, okay, it's someone else it's harassing. Okay. It's harassing everyone on Earth. They should have a civilization rapist. The obvious prodigy of a man with an inverted dick. That should be one of the options. I could actually visualize my father not only beating the shit out of me, but grinding me up in like a hand-turning meat grinder. You know, if I behave like these assholes on the internet. I mean, be so fucking embarrassed. You can't do better than that. Come on. You suck. Pepe Le Pew. Oh, that's so fucking cute. Fuck off. Can I report him for what? Pepe Le Pew. Report that for being spam. Yeah, okay. It's very spammy to steal Pepe Le Pew's name. Very spammy. Hey, where'd my report go? Okay. Should be a law against stealing other people's identities. Really should. Even the dead. Even Pepe Le Pew. Okay, a dead cartoon character. You really just shouldn't be allowed to steal other people's names. To ride on the back of the dead. It's very rude. Oh, Einstein showed up. Do. But that's how, emboldened they are. Google just gives them license. I mean, it really is something to actually steal Einstein's name, play with it like you own it. I mean, it's just such a, this little putz thinks he's got it right. Ooh. Like I said, what raises a creature like that? Scum. That's a simple answer. Scum. That should be one of the choices. Raised by scum. Obviously, this user has been raised by scum. That should be one of my options. Okay, so I guess that's enough for the day. Well, yeah, maybe tonight we'll see if I get to some other experiments and shit. But anyway, I thought this was a nice argument on Redshift, so I will just say that, point it out. No counter arguments, no rational ones. So I can only do my job. I arrived too late. I do not know enough about this subject to make a valid comment. Well, then I guess you don't even need to comment letting me know that. Your work is appreciated here, though. Okay, well, that's something anyway. You just you could have done without the explanation and just said, your work is appreciated here. Okay, thank you. No, I'm sorry. I'm being unnecessarily critiquey. Just the habit you get into. So anyway, no offense. And such. I mean, I do realize there are some people who do show up because they find the subjects interesting and appreciate the fact that at least somebody is making some effort to do the Darwin thing to physics, force it into reality, force it into some kind of rational confines of, physics, something physical explanations instead of these made up phantasmagorical nonsense. Tasihiro Nakajima with an icon of something that doesn't look very Japanese. Let's go find his channel and see what he's up to. Seems kind of bizarre. The icon doesn't seem to match. It's some sort of ugly thing. So I don't know. Maybe he's the guy who, I don't know what it is. It's got some sort of camouflage hat on something ugly. Can't find the connection there. I mean, it's not really a Japanese hat. It's like an American camouflage hat or something. And it looks like a bad drawing of like Grizzly Adams or something. No clue. Waste of a perfectly good Japanese name, I guess. Maybe it's a famous Japanese guy. I don't know. I just don't know what that is. Don't know what to say about it. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it's all about. Let's see. It's a Varg caricature. I don't know what Varg is, so good. I'm glad I'm missing out on all of that. Varg Vikenines. So you're stealing somebody else's identity after I just pointed out how that's not a nice thing to do. Gee. Some people will never learn, but we'll see where it goes. We'll see where Tasihiro goes with that. So apparently we've, not only spread vile, disgusting things like McDonald's to the rest of the world, but we've also taught them how to be, identity stealing shitheads. Very bad. Varg. That's a good name, I suppose. I mean, what's the name I wanted? It's the one from Ghostbusters. What was the villain in Ghostbusters? Vigo. Vigo. But unfortunately, my parents didn't see that movie, and they just didn't figure out that we should call him Vigo. Let's see the volume rating of the farts. BP. Yes, that's real. Oh, it's just so funny. Ha! No. Let's see. We'll go to report. Hate speech. Harassment. Yeah, we just call it harassment. Choose one. Can't choose one if you don't let me choose it, you fuck. I mean, this is just stupid. I mean, really. I have to go to the fifth choice, and then I have to do, it's just, they should make this a lot easier. Why don't they just automatically report everybody I block? I mean, that would make it easier. Just give me the report everyone you block, and give me a block button that's just right here. I don't have to hit anything. I just do block, 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 block. Why do they keep giving them accounts? That's the part that just to make any sense. Clearly, this is all they do with the accounts they have is do this nonsense, get blocked. That's all they do. And Google just lets them keep doing it. All right. My favorite food is dead bobs. I love a dead bob. Slowly barbecued. Yeah, should have added that in. Very slowly barbecued. Denutted, of course, first. Don't want no bob nuts. Varg has 8 children. Very interesting knots. Obviously, it's a character you have some appeal for, so this means something to you somehow. So, there's no point. What's your argument? I'm just going to block you. Just what the fuck? Fuck off. Jesus. Varg. They does lots of physics videos. God, people are just pathetic. Again, I should just have to, to make the anti-natalist argument, I should just have to play these videos. Just point out what are you arguing, you assholes defending the human race? What are you defending? What? Are you're just, I mean, where is there one shred of evidence of anything worth saving in this mush? These people? Fuck no. Rescue them? No, global warm them into the dirt. Make them into oil as soon as possible. Pepe Le Pew again. Report. Let's see. Harassment. Okay. And then I can't move this down. So I have to report him all over again. Son of it's not allowing me to report him again. Come on. Report. Harassment. Okay. Choose one. He's harassing me this time. But I mean, why would we tolerate a medium like this? Like, this is for this corporation. So somehow the corporation is somehow making money by letting people do this to rooms. Somehow this makes them money. It's disgusting. Turn this inmendum inside out to break beef. Wow, everybody could certainly understand what the fuck that means, right? I think so. Jesus Christ. Yeah, all right. 1 minute warning. Something like that. Ran out of drink, so might as well say the hell with it. It's a good enough reason to get the hell out of here. So let's see. I'll just check the viewers just for the hell of it. 14. And 10 of them are trolls. So, oof. Not a good sign. Planet Earth is the human condition is not healthy. Anyway, countdown and such. Any last words? Yep. I guess not then. Okay. Till next time and such.